Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me for Pilates All Levels. My name is Audra, and we're going to use a ball today. If you're at home and you don't have one, that's okay. You can fold a pillow a couple times. As always, listen to your body. If something doesn't feel right, don't do it. You can always modify or opt out. We're going to begin actually on all fours today. You can be on your fists or your hands. And we're just going to get a little bit of movement through our spine. So first, just push your spine to the sky like a little Halloween cat and see where you're moving from, right? Maybe you tend to move through your rib cage, maybe you tend to move through your low back. And then go the opposite way and see what tends to get the most movement, right? Maybe you tend to move here through your low back, maybe your mid back, maybe your neck. You can lift your face more. There we go. And then we're going to press up again. See if it's kind of the same. And then the other direction. Now that you've checked in and seen what tends to round more and what tends to extend more, as we do this, I challenge you to find the parts that don't move as much. So as you press to the sky, rounding your back, if you tend to mostly use your thoracic, I challenge you to use your lower back as well. And as you sink the opposite direction, if your lower back is what tends to do most of the work, I challenge you to get more through your rib cage. Yeah. One more like this. And then the opposite way. It's getting a little bit of spinal movement. Nothing should feel like compressive. Coming back to center, we're just taking our head and tail to one side, little side bend, and then other direction. Couple more. Starting to get a little bit of movement, a little bit of mobility before stability work. Two more. And come back to center. Now, we're going to do a segmental cat-cow. So coming into your neutral, just think about your tailbone only melting down to the ground like Salvador Dali's clock. Now lift your hip bones, belly button, lower ribs, mid ribs, looking down. Now just unwind it, widen through your sits bones, and then let your hip bones dive down, belly button, lower ribs, mid ribs, until you can look forward. And then again, we curl the tailbone. Don't let the whole spine move if you can help it, until it undulates and articulates. If you find that you have a spot that's kind of like a chunk that doesn't articulate independently, and it just moves as a brick, that is okay. You can always go, okay, well, my lumbar spine doesn't move independently, so I'm just going to move the lumbar spine in one piece. That's fine. As we curl, hip bones, just trying to get a little bit of intervertebral articulation. And then other direction. Now we're going to do just a couple more, but we're going to go the opposite way. So now instead of starting from our tailbone, we're going to start by nodding our chin, pressing the floor away, lifting the low ribs, lifting the belly button, tailbone curls under. Hold that, and then extend the opposite way, starting with your eyes. And then it undulates down your spine. It's like one of those like wooden snake toys. You do this and it just kind of rolls. And one more. And then press yourself up into your full Halloween cat and rock back and then forward. Couple more. Just feel where your spine gets a little bit of stretch. Hold this last one down and back. Bring your hands up and over to one side. Push your hips away. Getting a little stretch through that armpit muscle. And then other side. Now we're going to get some passive rotation, and then we're going to take it to active rotation. It's going to be great. So come onto your side. You can either use the ball as a pillow, the pillow as a pillow, or your arm. Top arm is going to come forward. Reach your pinky finger forward to try to get your shoulder blade forward because of your serratus. Let the shoulder retract slightly. Arm comes up. Now the arm is in one piece with your rib cage. Try to get that rotation from your rib cage as opposed to the lower back. And then come back. And if you're wondering how you can tell, part of it is keeping this hip nice and long, and part of it is not letting your back arch. If your back arches, it could be that your erector spinae muscles are trying to help. Right? Could be your posterior pelvic floor too. Couple more. Just see if you can gently encourage your body to get a little bit more movement each time. Last one like this, hold the rotation. Breathe. On your next exhale, drag your ribs back with you. Using your obliques. So now you're on your back. Take the leg that you were on, cross it over the other one in kind of a little figure four stretch. Now, we're going to rotate from our lower body. The knee that's pointing out to the side, angle it towards the floor. Once again, thinking of lengthening through that hip rather than overly rotating through that lumbar spine. On your exhale, drag it back from your abs, not the hips. If you feel your hips try to engage or your knee tries to move, think about your breath more. Letting this leg be nice and heavy. Actually, both legs be heavy, but especially the one on top. 2 more. Last one, coming back to center. Now, before we rotate to the other side, bring your hands behind your head, interlace your hands, spiral your elbows forward. Same with your scapula, they're scooping forward. Exhale, come into your chest lift. And slowly lower. Now, if this leg tries to help, think about pushing it away from you gently. And now you might feel like there's a small rotation happening here because of the position of your hips, right? Because the position of the leg is different. 2 more. Now you can stick with this or hold this last one up. The foot that is on the floor, lift your heel so your toes are down. On your exhale, press yourself into that figure 4 stretch, but you've also got a little bit of ab engagement. On your exhale, let your legs start to move away from your face. Inhale, pause, exhale, drag them back. Now, if it's too much for your hip flexor, you can always use your hands as a little assist. If it doesn't feel good in those deep hip rotators, for whatever reason, don't go into quite as deep of an externally rotated stretch. So if you need to, you can even cross that leg over if that feels better for you. Now, if you're ready, when the legs come up, imprint your spine, and then come back down. If you need to, you drop that other foot. If you're like, man, that is a lot of hip flexor, think about your deep abdominals, think about your inner thighs. Use your breath here as opposed to just your hip. Last one. Bring that foot down, other foot comes down, head comes down. We're going to roll onto the other side. Support your head in your hand or on the ball. Take your top arm, we reach it forward. Think about your shoulder blade gliding forward. You're being pulled by that pinky finger. Now just draw the shoulder blade back a little bit. Hand comes up, shoulder blade is nice and set. Inhale, exhale, start your rotation. Now, once again, we're trying not to let the back arch, right? I don't care if you can go into a crazy range of motion or not, right? So if you have like a lot of spinal flexibility, that's great. See if you can direct it to your rib cage more than your low back. If you don't have a ton, that's also fine. What I would suggest for you is to pause at your end range, inhale, exhale slowly like you're trying to fill up a balloon, and see if your nervous system can relax a little to allow for a tiny bit more motion. One more like this. Then we get to hold and breathe for a second. On your next exhale, think about the front of your ribs being drawn back so you get back to center. So now you're on your back. Cross the other leg over in that figure 4 stretch. Now, where the knee is pointing, that's the direction our hips are going. The other hip lengthens to the ground. So you've got that nice long side body. Exhale, drag the ribs back, trying to keep the hip relaxed. So we're not going super far. We're not trying to get a lot of rotation through the lumbar spine. Couple more. And just see how this side differs from the other side. Last one. Drag it back. Interlace your hands behind your head. Spiral your elbows forward. Shoulder blades draw down, and we just come into our chest lift on our exhale. And come back down. Now, if that leg started to pull towards you, see if you can let it relax. Even if that means just putting one hand against your thigh, just to remind it that it doesn't have to come forward, that's fine too. Notice how this is going to feel a little different rotation-wise because one of the hips is going to be heavier than the other one. That's fine. We have 3, 2 more. Last one, unless you want to stick with these. If you don't, we lift the heel, float the leg up, tap the toe down, exhale, bring it back. Once again, if this starts overworking, you can always use your hand for a little support. If you think more about your inner thigh helping, and then you can also think about this foot trying to help you by coming towards you as opposed to pushing into the leg. But you'll notice you start having to work harder on that hip flexor when you reach that position where the glute tends to have a little restriction, right? Now, if you're ready, we're going to curl and then back to center and down. Exhale, curl, back to center and down. If you need to, of course, you can put your head down. Just make sure whether your head is up or down, you're visualizing connecting your thigh bone to your ribs. We have 3, 2, last 1. Bring both feet down, head comes down. Take your hands, place them on your thighs, and just gently press into your thighs a little bit to get a little bit of distraction. Okay. Making sure your toes are pointing forward. We're going to take the ball, pop it between our knees. Okay. Now, on your exhale, make sure your sternum and collarbones are sinking away from your face. Imprint your spine, hold for a second. Making sure the shoulders haven't rolled forward. We're just gently tucking the tailbone and then come back to center. 2 more like that. On your exhale, hip bones pull towards your face because we're lengthening through the fronts of the thighs. And back, last 1, hold. Now squeeze the ball, press into your big toe mound, peel up into your first bridge. Now, bridge number 1 doesn't really count except as a way to check in. Make sure you're not lifting from your armpits, your weight's not on your neck, you're not feeling compression on your low back. We want to sink the sternum down, tuck the tailbone. And then on the way down, melt through the throat, the ribs, the low back, widening through your sits bones. And again, if your shoulders are internally rotating, you can always bring your palms to the sky. Make sure you're not just pressing into your heel, but also trying to press into that big toe mound. And then roll down. 2 more. Notice how if you press into your big toe mound, you are going to feel more calf and hamstring, but hopefully also more underbutt, right? As opposed to just squeezing the glutes, which can sometimes tell your upper fibers to do more of the work, which sometimes can lead to low back pain. Let's melt and roll. Good. We're going to interlace our hands behind our head again. And we come up into our chest lift. Good. Go ahead, bring one arm forward. And we're going to curl and rotate. Opposite way, Nancy. Yeah, there you go. And then back to center. Curl and rotate, same side. Yep, and back. Keeping the opposite hip nice and heavy. 2. Last one and hold. Now you've got that hand against your thigh. You're just going to saw your thigh as you curl up a tiny bit and back to where you were. Curl up a tiny bit. Yeah. Here we have 5, 4. Trying to keep that hip heavy, ball squeezed, but not at 100. Just enough to offer some moral support. Last one. Other side. So bring that hand forward and we rotate and back and rotate and back. If you find yourself side bending, it's okay. Just see if you can lengthen through that side. 2. Last one. Hold. On your exhale, push your fingertips forward and then back to where you were. Push. And 4, 3, 2, last 1. Come back to center, head comes down. Go ahead, press your feet into the floor to lift your hips. we're taking the prop and sliding it underneath our hips. Now, if for any reason this makes you arch, it is okay to bring it back a little bit more towards a posterior tilt. But if possible, I would like your spine to be relatively neutral here. I know it can't be totally neutral, but it's not in a huge tuck or huge extension. Sinking your ribs down towards your belly button. Hopefully your back is nice and relaxed. All I want you to do is think about the front of your abs sinking down. That's it. And then relax. Now you can think about the fronts of your abs sinking down and your hip bones gently squeezing together. And relax. When you do that, do you feel how your pelvic floor naturally engages a little bit? Yeah. And then relax. Now, let's lift our arches of our feet without rolling out onto the sides. And use our exhale here. Everybody feel a little bit more connection? That feels crazy, right? Why would our feet and our breath influence our pelvic floor? 2 more. And if it feels appropriate on your exhale, once you've started engaging, you can also sink your sacrum down onto the ball as if you were going to try to pop it. Now, you can stick with that, or on your exhale, float a leg to tabletop. Reach it away. We're going to push it down, toe ball heel on your inhale. Exhale, find that engagement, float your opposite leg to tabletop. And reach it away, toe ball heel. And down. Now, if this is where you are, fantastic. If you would like, you can bring both legs to tabletop. Squeeze the inner thighs together as if you're trying to pop a balloon, and then let one knee start to sneak away to tap that toe down, making a little pinwheel shape. Imagine your legs are moving through pudding, right? There's some texture to it. We're trying to engage a little bit of the back line of the leg, as well as inner thigh, as well as deep abdominal. If that feels good and you'd like to advance it, squeeze both of your inner thighs together as if you're trying to pop that balloon. Connect the thighs to the ribs, tap both toes to the ground, just a little. Now, you might make it to the ground, you might not. I, for example, have kind of tighter hip flexors. So for me, I can either really find my abs and pause before my toes touch the ground, or I can send my toes to the ground, but lose my abs and my spine changes a little bit of shape, right? So if you have that same kind of relationship with your hip flexors, temper your range a little bit. Or if you're just lacking pelvic stability a tiny bit, temper your range. No big deal. We have 3 more. 2 more, whichever variation you want to do is great. Trying to keep the ribs towards the belly button. Last one like this. And then bring your legs back. Now we're going to push a foot away from us. Let it come to the ground and drag it in. Other side. Now, if you have one foot on the ground, do several on one side and then switch, okay? No problem. That offers a little bit more support and honestly, a little bit more awareness of where you are in space. When you bring your foot to the ground, don't let the hips lift or the ribs pop, right? We're trying to actually sneak in a little bit of hamstring engagement and hip flexor like mobility, okay? So when we let that heel come to the ground, you're still in that same pelvic position. So your hip flexors have to lengthen to get the heel down, right? 2 more. Last one. And you can extend your legs to the sky. Good, now push one foot away from you, reaching it far, and then flex the foot, bring it back up. Other side. Push it away, and then flex and bring it up. Maybe it goes to the ground, but probably not, right? And back. Now, everybody's flexibility is different. So if you can keep your knees straight, that would be ideal. But if you can't, that's fine, right? Just let your legs stay in a range that's comfortable. But if with where you are, your knees are bending, but if you push your feet away from you 1/2 inch, your legs can straighten. Keep them at that 1/2 inch, right? So we're trying to find a little baby bit of quad for something called reciprocal inhibition. It can help your hamstring lengthen. Okay. 2 more. Last one. Go ahead, lift your hips, move the ball, set it to the side. Hands behind your thighs. Press your thighs into your hands, lift your chest. Let's start to do a little rock and roll. Yep. Until we come all the way up. Okay. Scooch towards the front of the mat to make sure you're not going to bonk your head. And we're going to do rolling like a ball. So if you prefer a really tiny nugget, that's fine. If your low back needs your hips wide, also fine. Shoulder blades draw down. Lift your heels so your toes are on. Now, Suze, you're kind of in a flat back position. Curl your tailbone towards your face. Yeah. And then just float your toes up. Yep. Good, Nancy, pull your belly button back, shoulders down. Yeah, good. Now, maybe just finding this position is what you want to do today. Otherwise, we're going to inhale, roll back, exhale, try to balance. First one doesn't count, right? You got this. Yeah, use your pad, man. You got it. And then inhale back, exhale, or just find it. Like find it, yeah. Yeah. Good. Now, if you're like, yeah, I got this, and you want to challenge yourself, bring the ball between your legs, squeeze them. Yeah. Good. Yeah, it's more exciting, right? If you want more challenge, hands forward, squeeze the ball. Yeah. Yeah, and then you try to make sure we don't go, burp, 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 burp. But the first one, who cares, right? It's our body figuring out where we are in space. 2. Yeah, last one. Nice. Feet down. We're going to move the prop to the side, hands behind our thighs. Sitting up through the crown of our head, and then we curl our tailbone. Keep your feet down if you can. If you need to move them closer to you, that's fine. And then slide down another inch, and slide down another inch. And then if you need to, walk your hands up your legs. Okay? And then roll back, slide down another inch, and again. And then if you need to, we walk our hands up our legs. If you're like, I don't need to, then don't. We're just going to slide down an inch, slide down an inch, slide down an inch, and then back up. So we did rolling like a ball first, so we knew what shape we were going to make. We're making the exact same shape here, right? You don't have to use your legs at all if you don't want to. But if you tend to roll back and then hinge up, think of the rolling like a ball. You're rolling back and you're still rolling forward, right? 2 more. Relaxing your shoulders, rolling forward. Last one. Good. And then you can extend your legs, reach your hands forward. Now, wherever you can reach is fine. If it's like your thighs, your shins, or your feet, it is right and correct. Draw your shoulder blades out of your ears and pull your armpits down a little bit, and then round your back. Yep. Now try to keep that connection as you let go of the feet, the shins, or the quads. We're going to roll all the way down. Imagine your arms connect down towards your pelvis, and you've got a 10-pound weight in your hands. You want to resist gravity with your low abs. Bring your hands forward, inhale, and then exhale, roll forward like everything we just did, right? So those last couple of exercises has brought us to the same shape, right? So a lot of times, if our hip flexors are like, I want to help, we kind of curl and then hinge, right? But I want us to round. So this exact same position you're doing on the way down is what I want you to try to just do backwards on the way up. Now, if you need to, of course, you can bend your knees. Of course, you can use your thighs. If you get stuck, hey, guess what? Use your legs. No problem. Good. Last one like this. And we're going to end on our back. Feet extended. Hands behind your head. Elbows slightly forward. Curl forward to look at your feet. If this feels not great in your back or your sacrum, bend your knees, okay? And then slowly lower. Curl forward. Hold. And back down. Now we get to hold this next one again. Hold it down. Think of one of your legs pressing down into the floor so that hamstring activates. The other one is connected to your ribs, but you're going to push it away. Maybe it hovers, maybe it doesn't. But what I don't want is just the quad to kick on. You're actually trying to push from your abs. And then it can come down, press that leg down, other foot reaches away, not up, away. It's like someone is right there, really, really short person, and they said something mean. You want to try to be like, hey, be nice. Just try to reach towards them. 2 more. And come down. Then slide your legs in to your tabletop. Curl forward. Now I want you to find that same reach, even though it's a different position. So go ahead, push 1 foot away, reaching it as far away as possible. Now, don't think about your leg ending where your leg ends. Try to push it to the wall. Yeah, and then bring it in, other side. Try to push your foot all the way to the wall. Do you feel how that's more work? But it also helps create some buoyancy, right? Whereas if I just try to squeeze my quad to extend my leg, it doesn't help me, right? Whereas if I push it away, it actually helps me stay upright in my chest lift. It's like a tension rod, right? A shower curtain rod from your feet all the way up to your rib cage. 1 more each side. And then let's add some rotation. rotate, hold. Now we're going to slow it down. 4, 3, 2, arrive at your destination, hold. And then 4, 3, 2, 1. And 4, 3. Now, if for any reason you're like, man, extending my leg like this isn't for me today, you can always bring the foot down. If your neck is getting tired, bring your head down, use your armpit, press into the leg, you can still find your obliques. Sometimes, depending on what my body says that day, this is almost more effective for me to find my obliques than anything else, right? We have just a couple more. 3, slow and steady wins the race. 4, 3, 2, arrive. 4, 3, 2, arrive. Hug your knees in towards your chest. Gently stir your thighs in the socket. Feet come to the ground. Hands reach forward. Now, as we think about our breath, our diaphragm and pelvic floor are lowering as our transverse abdominis expands, and then it all comes together. As we breathe, start to pump your arms to challenge that core stability. Head down to start. Yeah. Right? Untuck your tailbone so we're in neutral. Hey, everybody, check your lower back. Is it on the ground? If it's on the ground, try to get your sacrum a little bit heavier. Notice how that actually challenges that core stability a little bit more because the diaphragm then wants to lift, right? You guys, are you picking up what I'm putting down? Great. Okay, now if you want, you can bring your legs to tabletop. Now, if you want, you can lift your chest. And if you want, you can extend your legs. But still send your feet away from you so they actually help you lift. You have 4, 3, pump those arms, get those lats. 2, 1. Go ahead, bring your head down, feet down. As we curl forward, we're going to push one foot away from us. And it starts to lift like a little teaser and back down. Push the foot away from you. Right? So we do have a little hip flexor, a little bit of quad, a lot of ab. Make sure that when you come up, it's even if your chest is elevated, we're still keeping a little bit of tuck in that tailbone. Stephanie, that looked beautiful, but try not to hinge as much and you'll feel less hip flexor. So if you need, yeah, bend your knee. Yeah. Yeah. Bending your knee is great. Yeah. Think about rolling forward as opposed to coming up, right? Yeah. Last one on each side. Roll forward, push the foot away. Maybe it lifts, maybe it doesn't, right? Last one. Feet together, knees apart, relax over your legs. We're coming on to all fours because we're going to plank. It's going to be great. Yeah. You guys are like, great. It's going to be awesome. But know what we're going to do first? We're going to use the ball to challenge our stability. So if you're at home and you have a pillow, fantastic. Don't leave this to the side. Stop her down. Flatten it out. Stop her down. Thank you. Bring your shin to the top. Just one. Yeah. I mean, you could try to. But now, all we're gonna do, push down into that other knee, slide the other foot out, fold it in. Your toe can be tucked under. Yeah, like think bird dog. So tuck your toe under, put pressure on your toes. Yeah, there you go, and then slide. Good. Yep. If you want. If you are like, okay, easy, float your toes. And then you can also float your other toes. Yeah. Hey, Andrea, that looks good. You can actually take your right toes off the ground too. Yep, but bring the knee close to you. Yeah, there you go. Good. Beautiful. Suze, that looks great. Why don't you lift your left toes as well? Yeah, just like that. Who cares? It's Pilates practice, not Pilates performance. Yeah, push into your hands too. Yeah, 2. Last one. Hold. Now, if it's appropriate, you're just going to do a tiny little lift and lowers. Boop, boop. 4, pushing into your hands. 3, 2. Last one. Other side. Everybody feel that glutes start to light up immediately? Yeah. And you guys all did amazing. Correct answer. All right, so set your hands. And just first start with the slide, right? Everything can be tucked. And then if you're like, okay, I got this, maybe lift one foot, slide the other. Or try the other one, or you can start extending through space. Think about that knee gently pressing down and out. So the side glute of your stabilizing side kicks on. Gorgeous, everybody, gorgeous. I was going to say, if you really want, you can always try to extend that opposite arm. Yeah. Hey, Nancy, look, it's doable. It's just hard. It's doable. It's just hard. Yeah. Bring your knee closer to, I think, more shin rather than kneecap. Yeah. Good. That was much better. Yeah. Yeah. We get to hold the last one out. This little lift and lower. Good. Is one side more exciting than the other side? Yeah. We have 4, 3, 2. Last one, bring it down, press yourself into your little rest position. Those were awesome. Now we're going to come into our plank. It's going to feel so much easier than it would have otherwise. Now, if you are like, okay, I want to know if my back is staying flat, you can always flatten the ball and bring it on your lower back. Slide one foot out, other foot comes to meet it. Drawing your belly button in and up. Think about one long line from your ears to your tailbone. And then you can always bend one knee, reach it back. Other side. Now maybe you go, okay, and then on one side, boop, right? That just gives you information. It's not a moral failing. It's not honestly even a physical failing. It's just information, right? Because maybe your body has a habit that you don't even know about. 2 more. Last one. Knees down. Press yourself into your rest position. Good. Hands up and over to one side. Press your hips away. And then other side. We're going to come on to our side. We're going to bring the ball with us. We're actually going to start on our elbow though. Yep. In a little pinwheel shape. Yeah. Now, we're going to do a couple things that involve internal and external rotation. So those are really important for our body to learn how to do, right? So first, think about this front leg. You're going to drive that heel in. The knee is going to lift. Yeah. Now drive the knee down, foot lifts. For me, that's, can you keep your knee down too? Yeah, so it's rotation. Yeah, it's harder, right? So press it down, lift the knee. If you need, I will sometimes use my hand to help myself and then pause for a second and let go with the hand and then see if I can find the same place without the hand. Sometimes it just takes a second for your nervous system to know it can do something, right? Nice, nice. Some of you have really nice external rotation. Last one. Now, think about the other leg. Drive the knee down, let the foot lift without the hip coming forward or hiking. Okay, that's the caveat. Then press the heel down, let the knee come up without the hips shifting. Suze, when your knee comes up, point your hip bone forward a little more. Yep. And then don't let the hip shift at all. Drive the knee like on the way down, just drive the knee down. Yeah, there. Do you feel how that's a little bit more inner thigh as opposed to TFL? Yeah. Yeah, so that's why we're actually driving the knee down, is to get that inner thigh to activate. Because most of us, our TFL will absolutely do the work, but our inner thighs should also be helping us. And we want to tell them, hey buddy, kick on, do your job, right? One more each side. That's also why we don't want the hips to move or hike, is that's an indicator that the TFL is trying to do the work. Good, nice job. Let's go ahead, bring both feet together, and you can come all the way down onto your side if you like, or you can stay upright. You're gonna lift both the knee and the foot in an abduction. Good. Stephanie, lengthen through your top hip. Yeah, and maybe bend your knees more. Bring your heels towards your butt. There you go. Yeah. Good. Suze, lift your bottom rib a little. Yep. Like I wanted to slide a sheet of paper under you, and you're gonna let me. Good. Keep it lifted. Yeah. 3. Andrea, at the end range, hold there. Point your hip bone towards Nancy. Yeah. Keep it there. Yeah. 2. Last one. Hold. Bring the knee in. Take it back. Keeping it bent this time. Do you feel that stretch on the quad when that hamstring kicks on? If you don't, tuck your tailbone, press your foot back farther. If you're like, well, I feel my back, chances are you're using your back, in which case I would say, squeeze your abs. So Nancy, that looks good, but keep your heel closer to your butt, like you're doing this. Yeah. Yeah. You're doing that like 80s move. Yeah. Good. 2 more. Suze, keep your heel closer to your buns too. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Hold. Now we're just going to do tiny little presses back for 5. 4. Keep it back and just press harder. Anybody not feeling their hamstrings? Yeah. 2, 1. Now reach the leg away as you reach forward. Push the foot away, dangle the foot, tiny little lift and lowers. If the ribs move, whoop, draw them up. Think about the foot going away from you rather than to the sky, right? 3, 2, last 1. Other side. If you're excited about side planks, you can come into a side plank to help you get to the other side. No, just me? Okay. And Andrea, yeah. All right. Pinwheel shape. We're going to start with this front leg. Let's let the knee come up, see where it goes. First one is just about observation. And then lift the foot, see where it goes. Maybe switch your legs. Yeah, there you go. Now, maybe you want to use your hand to help you. Right? No problem. And then see if you can find the same range, right? Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting how one side might feel vastly different than the other. Like on this side, I have a really hard time keeping my knee down to get the external rotation. It's like, well, I can lift the foot, but only if I lift the whole leg, right? And it's also interesting because sometimes where our mobility is limited, that's where we might experience discomfort, but sometimes it's on the opposite side, right? Which I just think is fascinating. Yeah. Two more. See where you go. Last one. And then we get to think about that other side. So drive the knee down. Don't lift the foot. Don't lift the foot. Drive the knee down. Just the knee. Everybody feel that inner thigh? Now you can start to rotate that thigh and the foot will probably come along for the ride. Now the back foot. Yeah. And then we press the heel down, use the glute. Yeah. Then just push the knee down, knee down, knee down, knee down. Maybe the foot comes along for the ride. Yeah. Push the heel down, heel down, heel down. Maybe that knee comes up. Yeah. Does that feel different when you think about pushing down rather than lifting up? Yeah. All right. So for example, if I just think of lifting my foot, it goes here, but then it's all here. If I just think about lifting my knee, I can get it high, but my hips rotate, right? So if I think about driving it down and then spiraling, I might not get as big of a range, but I'm using specific muscles. We have two more. Last one. Then bring your feet together. So knees, and then draw your heels towards your hips. You can come down onto the floor if you want. We're going to AB duct. So abduct, take the leg away from you. Bring your knee a little higher, Nancy. Heel down a little, there, and then back down. And then widen through your sits bones. Good. Just a few. Suze, stick your booty out a little. There you go. And then try not to let it rock. Yeah. Is that a little bit more glute? Good. 3, 2. Last one, hip bones stay forward. Good. Now we get to hold it. Keep the heel drawing towards your butt as you press the foot and knee away from you. How does that hamstring feel? Amazing. So one thing that I think is really interesting about the body is if we have a tight muscle, we tend to think of that tight muscle as like, oh, well, that's tight, the other side is weak. And it might be, but sometimes what happens is the muscle that's on the opposite side of the joint as the tight muscle has to work a lot harder to do its job, right? So the more we keep our heel in, especially if we have tight quads, the more that hamstring has to work to get us there, right? Does that make sense? You guys stopped listening, it's fine. I understand. It's the hamstring pain. 2, last one, hold it back, making sure your hips aren't moving. We just press back a little. Yep, for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Extend the leg as we rotate. Down, let that foot be floppy, lift the bottom ribs, making sure that we are lengthening through our spine as opposed to using our back. Push the foot away. Maybe it lifts. I don't actually care if it does. Yeah, so I want you to fold here a little bit more so you're less here. This is going to be more back. This is going to be more glute. Yeah. Good. Belly button up a little. Belly button up more. Yeah. And then let your foot come down more. In between, push it away, let it come down. Yeah, there you go. Good. Belly button, Nancy. Thank you. 3, 2. Last one. Nice job, you guys. Come on to your stomach real quickly. Now, this is going to be weirdly specific, so bear with me. Hands suction cup to the ground. Using your armpit muscles, drag your arms down until your elbows are in line-ish with your shoulders. Elbows and hands on the ground. Now, push both your elbows and hands into the ground to lengthen your collarbones forward. It's more like you're being shot out of a cannon rather than going towards the sky, okay? Squeeze your glutes, maybe your feet lift. On your exhale, do not move your spine, just float your hands up. And then come back down, okay? You okay, Nancy? Oh no, let's try it again. Armpits, push to lengthen collarbones forward. Glutes, exhale, float the arms. We're trying to bypass our erector spinae muscles to get our tiny stabilizers, okay? So we press, that's lats. We squeeze, that's glutes. Exhale, should be multifidus. If you feel the sausages, like the ropey muscles in your back, you might be using your erectors, so don't come up as high, okay? Last one like this. Armpits, push, glutes, activate, exhale, float. Good. Now, hands can come forward if you want, and we swim. If you're like, you can just keep your hands down and swim. Good. Now, hands down, press yourself into your rest position. Awesome job, you guys. We're going to come to standing, and it wouldn't be the end of class without a little balance work. So if you can, come through your downward dog and walk your feet towards your hands or your hands towards your feet. Dangle out of your hips for a second and roll all the way up. Go ahead, bring your heel to toe as if you're on a tightrope and just see where your body is. Yeah. Feel if you have a little sway, that's normal. Feel if your feet want to do this a little bit, that's okay. And then if you feel great, you can add on by looking over one shoulder and then in the other shoulder. Good. If that's easy, close one eye. If that's easy, close both. Last one, switch sides. Each side's going to feel different, right? That is okay. So maybe this side, this is where you are. Great. Yeah, maybe you look over your shoulder. Maybe you do it slowly. Maybe you're like, I got this. You want to do it quicker. And then, of course, you can always try closing one or both eyes. Two. Yeah. Bring your feet back to center. Flip your palms, open your collarbones. lifting your heart to the sky. Big inhale and big exhale. Good. Give yourselves a round of applause. Awesome job today. Thank you so much for joining me. You are amazing, and you are amazing, and you are amazing. We're all amazing.